Professor Kim entered the huge meeting room with a deep breath. The 12 alien leaders sat in a half-circle, their eyes fixed on him. The red hologram in the center showed a swirling storm of energy that was eating stars. Kim was not supposed to be here. Humans were too new to space travel. Most aliens thought humans were too simple to help with big problems. But the red storm was growing fast and no one could stop it. Kim walked to the center of the room, his steps echoing on the shiny floor. The hologram's red light made his face look older, casting deep shadows across his wrinkled skin. "Professor Kim of Earth," said High Counselor Mev, her voice like ice, "you claim you can solve what our best minds cannot." Ambassador Nock leaned forward, his crystal body catching the light from the hologram. "Your kind has only traveled between stars for 97 years. Most species at this table have been doing so for thousands. What could you possibly see that we have missed?" Kim smiled slightly. He was used to being underestimated. On Earth, he had been the youngest person to win the Global Science Prize. Even there, older scientists had doubted him. "Sometimes," Kim said quietly, "fresh eyes can spot what experienced ones miss." The room filled with low murmurs. Some aliens made clicking sounds, their way of showing they did not agree. Others waved tentacles or flashed colors on their skin to show their disapproval. 3 star systems have already been lost," said Commander Rock, a tall alien with blue skin. "The Terran system will be next. 6 billion lives." "Then we have no time to waste arguing about who can help," Kim replied. "Your equations are perfect, but they are missing something. I believe I can find it." The hologram changed to show the path of destruction. The red mass was growing faster each day. At its current speed, it would reach major trading routes in 2 months. "If you fail," said a small green alien with 4 eyes, "we lose valuable time that our scientists could have used." "And if I succeed," Kim answered, "we all live." Mev stood up, towering over everyone. "The human will be given access to all data and resources. You will work with our top research team on Station Alpha." Kim nodded. "I'll need to bring my own equipment." "Granted," said Mev, "but understand this, Professor Kim. Your species stands on the edge of acceptance into galactic society. This is both a test and an opportunity." "My planet's safety is motivation enough," Kim said. Ambassador Nock made a sharp sound. "You have 1 standard week, not a day more." As Kim turned to leave, Commander Rock stopped him. "Why do you think you can solve this when we cannot?" Kim looked at the swirling red mass in the hologram. "Because I'm not looking for the right answer. I'm looking for a different question." The aliens watched him leave, their expressions unreadable. They had faced many threats before, but this one was different. And now they were putting their hopes in the hands of a species that had only just learned to leave their own planet. Kim's shuttle left for Station Alpha an hour later. As Earth disappeared from view, he wondered if he would ever see it again. The small workspace looked like an afterthought. Director Lee pointed to it with 3 of her 7 fingers, not bothering to hide her feelings. The terminal was old, pushed into the darkest corner of the massive research center. "Your workspace," she said, her voice cold as space itself. "Try not to disturb the real work happening here." Kim nodded politely, but said nothing. He had faced this before, the doubt, the dismissal. As Lee walked away, her scaled skin reflecting the blue lights overhead, Kim set down his small bag and turned on the terminal. The station hung in empty space near the edge of the anomaly. Through the large window across the room, Kim could see, its red glow growing larger each day. Hundreds of alien scientists moved around the main floor, all working to solve the same problem. None looked his way. For the first day, Kim did not touch his terminal. Instead, he walked around the station, watching how the aliens worked. They didn't stop him, but they didn't speak to him either. They acted as if he wasn't there. "They think I'm too simple to understand," he thought. But this gave him freedom to observe. The second day, he sat at his terminal and looked at their equations. They were perfect. Every calculation followed the rules of the universe exactly, yet the anomaly continued to grow. On the third day, Kim tried working with their methods. He followed their perfect logic, applied the same rules. By evening, he understood why they were failing. "They're trying to speak to the anomaly in the wrong language," he whispered to himself. On the morning of the fourth day, Kim sent a request to access Earth's cultural database. The message went to Director Lee's desk. She read it with her eyes blinking in confusion. "Cultural database, what does this human think he's doing?" She asked the scientist next to her. "Playing games, most likely," replied her colleague. "Humans give up easily. He sees he cannot solve the problem." Lee approved the request anyway. "Let him waste his time. It makes no difference." 3 hours. Later, Lee walked past Kim's corner and stopped suddenly. Strange sounds filled the air around his workspace. Kim sat with his eyes closed, moving his head slightly from side to side. The terminal showed shapes that made no sense to Lee, waves and circles that did not match any known mathematical model. Kim's fingers moved quickly, writing strange symbols on a piece of paper. Other scientists had noticed too. Work slowed as more aliens turned to watch the humans' bizarre behavior. Lee walked closer. The sounds were organized, but followed no pattern she could understand. "What is this primitive methodology?" she demanded, her voice sharp with annoyance. Kim opened his eyes slowly as if waking from a dream. He smiled at Lee. "Bach," he replied simply. "What is a Bach?" asked another scientist who had come closer. "Music from Earth. From hundreds of years ago," Kim explained. He pointed to his notes. "I think the anomaly responds to patterns, not just equations." Lee looked at his work. The symbols made no sense to her. "This is not proper mathematics." "No," Kim agreed. "It's music theory combined with quantum harmonics." "Look." He pointed to the red swirl visible through the window. "The anomaly pulses. It has rhythm." The alien scientists looked at each other confused. One of them, younger than the others, moved closer to see Kim's notes. "What do patterns from Earth music have to do with a space anomaly?" Lee asked, crossing her arms. Kim turned back to his work. "Sometimes the universe follows patterns only humans can feel." "Ridiculous," Lee said, but she didn't walk away. Something in the human's confidence made her curious. Kim worked through the night. The music played softly as his fingers moved across the terminal. By morning, he had built a new model, one that combined the aliens' perfect equations with patterns from Earth's greatest composers. When Lee arrived the next morning, Kim was waiting for her. "I need to test something," he said. "Test what?" she asked. "A theory. The anomaly isn't random, it's dancing." Lee didn't understand, but she was running out of options. 6 more star systems had reported strange energy readings. The anomaly was spreading faster. "You have 1 hour," she said finally. Kim nodded and began to enter commands into his terminal. The sound of Bach filled the research center again, but this time the waves on his screen matched the pulses of the red swirl outside. "Watch," Kim said softly, pointing to the window. The anomaly flickered. For just a moment its movement changed. Lee's 4 eyes widened in shock. "How did you—" Kim smiled. "Music is mathematics that speaks to the soul, even the soul of a space. Anomaly." The main lab was filled with the top scientists from 12 different worlds. They gathered around the large central table where Kim had set up his new model. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Senior physicist. Park stood at the head of the table. Her grey skin shimmered under the bright lights as she studied Kim's work with her 4 eyes. Unlike the others, she had not dismissed him right away. That made her more dangerous. "Ridiculous," Park finally declared. Her slender fingers waved, away Kim's solution like she was brushing off a fly. "The anomaly cannot be affected by harmonic resonance patterns derived from human music theory." The other scientists nodded in agreement. As the station's senior physicist, Park's opinion mattered more than most. When she spoke, others listened. Kim took a deep breath. He had expected this. "The mathematics supports it," he said calmly. "The anomaly responds to patterns, and patterns underlie everything, including your skepticism." Park's eyes narrowed. "You claim that this space anomaly, which has destroyed 3 star systems, will respond to music?" "Not exactly," Kim explained. "I'm saying it responds to specific mathematical patterns that humans recognize in music. Look at the data again." He pulled up the readings from the anomaly on the main screen. See these pulses? They follow a pattern similar to what we call a golden ratio on Earth. It appears in our art, music, and nature. Coincidence, said another scientist. Is it? Kim asked. He played a series of notes on his terminal. On the screen, the pattern of the anomaly's energy matched the sound waves perfectly. Park stepped closer, her interest growing despite her doubts. This proves nothing. Show me real evidence. I need to run a simulation, Kim said. Give me 1 hour. Park looked at the clock on the wall. They had less than 5 days left before the anomaly would reach the next inhabited system. 1 hour, she agreed. No more. Kim worked quickly, typing commands into his terminal. The other scientists watched, with crossed arms and doubtful faces. Only Park seemed willing to consider that he might be onto something. As the simulation prepared to run, Kim explained his theory. The anomaly isn't just energy, it's a pattern that repeats and grows. If we introduce a counter pattern at exactly the right frequency, we might be able to disrupt it. Like noise-cancelling technology, Park asked. Kim nodded. Similar, but much more complex. We need to find the exact pattern that will interfere with the anomaly's growth. And you believe this pattern is related to human music? I believe it's related to patterns humans recognize through intuition, which we express in our music. The simulation was ready. The room fell silent as Kim pressed the final button. On the main screen, a model of the anomaly appeared, its red swirl growing just as the real one did outside the station. Then Kim's counter pattern began, a complex series of energy pulses based on Bach's mathematical structures. At first, nothing happened. Park's mouth started to form the words, "I told you so." Then the model changed. The anomaly's growth slowed, then stopped entirely. After 30 seconds, it began to shrink. Complete silence fell across the laboratory. Park's eyes widened, in disbelief. She ran her own tests, checking Kim's work from every angle. "How did you see this when our most advanced predictive models didn't?" she whispered, after confirming his results. Kim looked around at the alien faces staring at him. They had relied so much on pure logic that they had forgotten something important. Because sometimes the equation needs intuition, not just calculation, Kim replied. And humanity still remembers how to dream. Park tilted her head, confused by his words. Dream? What does sleep have to do with mathematics? Kim smiled. Not sleep dreams. I mean the ability to make mental leaps, to see connections that aren't obvious, to feel the rhythm of the universe rather than just calculate it. The room buzzed with excited voices as the scientists began to understand. Park turned to her team. We need to scale this up immediately. If the simulation is correct, we can create a device to generate this counter pattern at the anomaly itself. As the team rushed to work, Park pulled Kim aside. Your species is strange, Professor. You lack our technology and experience, yet you found a solution we could not. Kim nodded. Different doesn't mean worse. Humans may be new to space, but we've been finding unusual solutions to problems for thousands of years. Perhaps, Park admitted, there is something to learn from your kind after all. Outside the station window, the red glow of the anomaly pulsed steadily, waiting for their response. The research vessel Harmony cut through the empty blackness of space, its engines glowing blue against the starry background. Captain Yoon sat in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the massive red swirl that filled the main view screen. The anomaly was even more frightening up close, a storm of energy that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around it. Distance to target point, 8,000 kilometers, said Navigator Han. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel, plotting their approach. Kim stood beside Captain Yoon, checking the readings on his tablet. The harmonic generator they had built based on his equations hummed softly in the ship's cargo bay. It was their only weapon against the growing threat. The generator is stable, Kim reported. We need to get within 5,000 kilometers for maximum effect. Captain Yoon nodded. Their mission was simple but dangerous. Approach the anomaly, activate the generator, and hope Kim's theory worked in practice as well as it had in simulations. The ship carried a mixed crew. 3 humans and 4 aliens from different worlds. The aliens had the most experience in space travel, but they had insisted that humans be included, since the solution was based on human concepts. Entering the outer field in 30 seconds, Han announced. His voice was calm, but Kim could see the tension in his shoulders. The ship began to shake slightly as they crossed into the anomaly's influence. Red warning lights flashed on several control panels. "Energy readings are off the charts," said Scientist Park from her station. She had insisted on joining the mission after seeing Kim's simulation work. "The anomaly is affecting our systems faster than predicted." Captain Yoon tightened her grip on the armrests of her command chair. "Stay on course. We knew this wouldn't be easy." The shaking grew worse. Outside the viewports, space itself seemed to warp and twist. The red glow of the anomaly filled the bridge with an eerie light that made everyone's skin look strange. 6,000 kilometers, Han reported. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the ship. The main lights flickered and went out, replaced by dim emergency lighting. "Primary systems failing," reported Navigator Han, his voice steady despite the danger. Switching to manual control, the alien crew members froze. Their training had never prepared them for system failures like this. In their advanced ships, manual controls were rarely used, considered primitive and unreliable. "What do we do?" asked one of the alien engineers, his voice rising in panic. Captain Yoon didn't hesitate. She stood up and moved to Han's station. "I'll take helm control. Han, monitor our position." She pulled out the manual control stick, a simple joystick that could direct the ship when the main computers failed. It was a backup system the humans had insisted on installing, despite the aliens' objections. "Everyone, stay calm and do your jobs," Yoon ordered. "We trained for this." The aliens looked confused and frightened. Their species relied heavily on technology and pre-planned responses. The chaos of the situation left them unsure what to do. Kim watched as the human crew members quickly adapted. Yoon controlled the ship with practiced hands while Han called out readings. The third human, Engineer Joe, rushed to the engine room to maintain power. "The anomaly is affecting our technology," Kim realized aloud. "It's disrupting the advanced systems. Precisely why manual backups are essential," Yoon said through gritted teeth as she fought the controls. "Sometimes simpler is better." The ship continued its approach, though now it moved in a less steady path. Captain Yoon had to constantly adjust to keep them on track. 5,500 kilometers, Han announced. Kim turned to Park. "We need to activate the generator now. We're close enough." Park hesitated. "The protocols say 5,000. "Exactly." "Improvise," ordered Yoon, not taking her eyes off the view screen. "Professor, we'll get you there. Just be ready." Kim nodded, admiring the human crew's adaptability. The very trait aliens had dismissed as chaotic and unpredictable was now their greatest asset. "Activating generator," Kim said, sending the command through his tablet. Deep in the ship's cargo bay, the harmonic generator powered up. It began to emit the complex pattern Kim had designed, a mathematical sequence based on Bach's music and the golden ratio. The ship shook more violently as they pushed closer to the anomaly. Through the viewports, Kim could see the red energy swirling around them, reaching out like hungry fingers. "Generator at 50% power," Kim reported. "We need to hold position for 3 minutes." Captain Yoon's hands gripped the manual, controls tightly. Sweat beaded on her forehead from the effort of keeping the ship steady. "Hull temperature rising," warned one of the alien crew members who had recovered enough to monitor systems. "We cannot sustain this position for 3 minutes." "We can and we will," Yoon said firmly. "Everyone, focus on your jobs." Kim watched. The readings from the generator. The pattern was working. He could see the anomaly's energy fluctuating in response. But they needed more time. "Generator at 70%, he announced. "The anomaly is starting to react." Outside, the red swirl seemed to pulse, almost as if it were alive and in pain. The ship's shaking intensified. "We're losing engine control," Joe called over the comm system from engineering. "I'm rerouting power manually." 2 more minutes, Kim said. "We're almost there." Captain Yoon nodded, her face set with determination. Next to her, Han called out readings while working to keep their position data accurate without computer assistance. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans worked together, adapting to each new problem without panic or confusion. It was a side of humanity they had never appreciated before. "Generator at full power," Kim finally announced. "The pattern is fully engaged." The view screen showed the impossible. The massive red swirl of the anomaly was starting to contract. Its destructive growth had stopped. "It's working," Park whispered in awe. The Grand Council chamber looked very different from the last time Kim had stood there. 1 week ago it had been filled with doubt and fear. Now it sparkled with hope and excitement. Kim and Captain Yoon stood side by side at the center of the chamber. The red hologram that once showed the growing anomaly now displayed their successful mission. The 12 alien representatives watched as the recording showed the anomaly shrinking and finally disappearing completely. When the recording ended, the chamber erupted in applause, a human gesture that the aliens had never used before. The sound echoed off the high ceiling and filled the room. Some aliens tapped their tentacles together, others flashed colors on their skin, but most had learned to clap their hands or appendages in the human way. High Counselor Mev stepped forward, her tall form towering over Kim and Yoon. "Professor Kim, Captain Yoon, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I extend our deepest gratitude. The threat has been neutralized. The star systems that were in danger are now safe." Kim nodded politely. "It was a team effort. The alien scientists helped build the generator that delivered the counterpattern." "Yes," Mev agreed, "but it was human insight that found the solution where our logic failed. And it was human adaptability that saved the mission when technology broke down." Scientist Park stepped forward. She had returned on the harmony with the human crew, her perspective forever changed. "The Council has reviewed all mission data," she said. "The approach used by Professor Kim defied our standard methods. It succeeded because it included elements we had not considered important: intuition, musical patterns, and what humans call thinking outside the box." The Council members nodded in agreement. They had studied the reports carefully. "We have much to learn from each other," Kim said. "Your mathematics is more advanced than ours, but perhaps we can offer a different perspective." The ceremony continued with formal thanks and recognition. The crew of the Harmony received special honors for their bravery. But everyone knew that something more important had happened. The galaxy's view of humans had changed forever. After the ceremony ended, a small celebration began. Aliens and humans mingled, sharing stories and ideas. Kim found himself surrounded by curious scientists asking about human music and art. Ambassador Nock approached Kim and Yoon as they stood near one of the large windows overlooking the space station. Nock's crystalline body caught the light from the stars, sending rainbow colors across the floor. "Professor Kim, Captain Yoon," Nock said, bowing slightly, "I owe you an apology. I doubted your abilities." "No apology needed," Yoon replied. "You had no reason to believe we could help." "Nevertheless," Nock continued, "I was wrong. We've established the Human Integration Initiative. Your species will no longer be relegated to observer status in galactic affairs." Kim raised his eyebrows in surprise. "That's a significant change in policy." "What changed your mind?" asked Yoon. Nock's crystal form shifted, a sign of deep thought. "For millennia, we perfected logic and precision," Nock explained. "We built our societies on rational thought and careful planning. When we met other species who shared these values, we welcomed them to our community." Kim nodded, understanding. "But humans seemed too emotional, too unpredictable." "Exactly," said Nock. "You make decisions based on feelings. You take risks. You improvise. These traits seemed dangerous to us. But now," Yoon asked, "but now you showed us that the universe sometimes requires something more, something only humans seem to possess. When our logical systems failed against the anomaly, your different approach succeeded." "Emotion?" suggested Kim. "Humanity," corrected Nock, "the final variable in the cosmic equation." Kim smiled at the poetic way Nock put it. "We still have much to learn from you. Our technology lags behind yours by centuries, and we have much to learn from you," Nock replied. "Technical knowledge can be taught quickly, but intuition, creativity, adaptability, These are qualities that develop over millennia of evolution. You bring a new perspective to our community. Across the room, High Counselor Mev called for attention. Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, she announced. The Human Integration Initiative will place human representatives on all major council committees. Earth will receive full protection status, and we will establish cultural exchange programs to better understand each other. The aliens applauded again, the sound now more confident than before. Later, as Kim and Yoon prepared to board the ship that would take them back to Earth, Scientist Park approached them one last time. "I will be joining the first cultural exchange to Earth," she said. "I wish to study your music, your art, and how they connect to mathematics." "You'll be welcome," Kim said. "Though I warn you, we are a complex and sometimes contradictory species." "Parks?" Four Eyes blinked in amusement. "That is precisely why we need to understand you better. You are unpredictable, but in that unpredictability, you found what we could not." As their ship departed, Kim and Yoon watched the space station grow smaller in the viewport. Earth awaited them, still unaware of how its status in the galaxy had changed. "Do you think they'll ever truly understand us?" Yoon asked. Kim looked at the stars spreading out before them. "Maybe not completely, but they recognize our value now. That's a good start." The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying home the humans who had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most important part of an equation is the variable no one thought to include.